Good day, Bob here at Weldnrust. More trials and tribulations with panel making. I'm really hoping this time we're going to actually get a usable panel out of this. All right, not perfect yet, but you've seen I've gotten a lot less curve in it. I've gotten rid of most of this curve over. There's a few reverses in here. Like in here, it feels like it's got a bit of a crown this way, but I'm gonna have to change the wheel in order to do that so I can reform it. But we're getting there. I might be able to salvage this thing. So for doing the next bit, I need a crowned wheel. And what I'm looking for is the crown that matches my tightest area or my highest crown area. This looks like a pretty good match, so that's what I'm going to use. You'll notice I'm back to wheeling with the panel upside down. When I'm doing this, remember my contact point will be the lower anvil in the center, but the upper one, it'll be contact on these outer edges. And you need to keep that in mind because it's easy to put a mark in the part. All I'm trying to do is take some of the crown back out of it again because I got a little too much here. I'd rather have it match this side better. So I was messing about with the panel again through the wheel to try to get a little bit more symmetrical. But it feels like there's almost like still like an oil can in here. And when I stick it on top, it's like this bottom section is what's giving me grief. It's seems the most work. What I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut off about 6 inches because I want my seam line somewhere around here anyways. So if I lose that 6 inches, which is the part that's giving me the trouble, hopefully the panel will be a little bit more cooperative. Well, I cut off the 6 inches, and it actually might have made it worse. Okay. There comes a point when you got to decide on whether you're flogging a dead horse or not. Okay. I got a fresh panel, and this time I'm going to do something a little, well, not that different, but I'm going to take a tape measure. I'm going to lay out exactly where the wheeling is going to happen. So hopefully I'll get a little bit more accurate of a part. Little description. What I'm going to do now is when I put it through the wheel, I'm going to use, where it says bend, that's where I use the rubber band. And I'm going to go across this way to produce a curve this way, just in this section. Okay. Use the same rubber band. I'm going to start bending straight in here because I want this more, I don't really want to curve this way here. I want it to be straight here. So that's why I'm just going to use the rubber wheel and do the curve this way. Now wheel, this is where I want the compound curve. So in this section, I'll be wheeling this way and this way. That's the idea, and we're going to see how it's going to work. So the plan this time is we're just going to do a bit at a time for each section and just keep checking. So one of the challenges I got is when I try and form the metal, because of the size and weight of the panel, it tends to want to use the gravity to give it more of a curve than I wanted to give it. So what I want to do is I want to give it more curve this way without giving it more this way. So what I find I'm doing is I'm basically holding the panel up on the end as I roll it through to try and straighten it this way. And I'm going to go across this way to hopefully get more curve without doing it the other way. And in order to do that, I can only do half the panel at a time. You can see I got a little dip in here now, because if I don't have it, how do I describe this? Sitting in the wrong spot with the weight of it is going to affect it. So the fun part's going to be, yeah, just by doing this. If I'm not careful with how I hold the panel, I'll get that little dip. So I'm hoping I can take it out. I think you can see why messing about with this is causing more problems. Just got a bit of a twist in it again. Okay, I'm starting to get frustrated now. So next plan is I'm going to start making a panel that's about half the size of what I was working on and just do it in 2 halves. So with this little change in plan, one of the things I'm starting to notice, it's where the panel is sitting in a flat state. It's contacting here. This shouldn't be a surprise, but it's contacting here, here, and here. So maybe I got to rethink how I go about this. Is what I might do is I might do some wheeling in here, this way, as well as here, and see what I get from that point of view. See what changes. I'll do a little bit in here, but maybe it'll be less. Experimentation never seems to end. Just a little aside. What I've noticed, if I keep wheeling towards the edge, it actually curves this way, which is in theory not supposed to do. So I'm going to have to focus most of my wheeling just in this area, with just to hopefully just get it to bend here and stay straight there. We got a basic idea of what I want, but now I got to get rid of the rubber band. By the way, the tape does work, works quite well, but there's only so much life you're going to get out of tape. Good thing it's still cheap. What I'd really like to do is get a different wheel for it and possibly glue some rubber onto it. Future project. Another little lesson. When I switch position, I turn 90 degrees. If I learn from the last panel, if I put a fair bit of downward motion on it, I'll get a lot more curve in it a little quicker. The way that works generally is because I'm physically bending the panel as I'm rolling it. Now. I got too much. Now I'm looking at this and it looks like I need a bit of a reverse curve, just a slight, to get this to blend with this better. Which means I'm going to have to roll a bit upside down in here. We are getting real close. So it may still need some work. This panel's probably going to end up getting shortened anyways. So I'm not too worried about that. We're definitely making progress. There's a lesson to be learned in this one. I remember one of you guys in the comments made a comment about being able to put in patch panels. And one of the things I've had to learn is know my limits. I'm actually can make little panels, not a problem. Once you get into the bigger ones, it's an entirely different ball game. And that's where I'm finding the challenge. So if I know what I can do and know my limits, I think I may just end up with several pieces. because this is, at least I'm getting somewhere with this. Whereas I could be farting around with these larger panels forever and still not get the shape I want. Whereas this is something I can work with. Something to keep in mind when you guys are working on your stuff. Oh yeah. It's really close when I bring it right down to here. Oh no, not perfect. But nothing that little persuasion can't take care of. I could almost use it if I put way more curve in here. Yeah, what do I got to lose? Most of the panel I'll be able to use. The worst comes to worst, I just chop a little bit off. Now this is going to get interesting because this is the point I also have the reverse curve, which I really don't want to lose. But I still got to put a bend in it. So I may form this and then have to reform that reverse again. Okay. Bit of a noose. Not a major one. A little bit too much forming in here. So we're going to find out if we can flatten it back out again. Yes, we can. The trick is very light pressure and keep my tracking close. Almost needs, it's coming down here. So this tells me it's really got to start curving down this way over here. It's got to curve down more here and then flatten out by the time it gets here, yet still keep that curve. That sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Okay. Oh, look at that. Now that I got this dishing out in here, oh yeah, that's looking much better now. Okay, we're getting really close with this. It looks kind of weird, and it was almost counterintuitive when I was doing it. But we've got our curve here, but it had to actually have a low spot in here to match up with this. Now also remember, as I work on another section of panel, it does change the other sections. So they might start kicking up or going down or changing. Okay, we're going to stop it here for now. Reason being, I'm going to say I've been playing around with this panel off and on for about half an hour to an hour. More likely half an hour. Trial and error, back and forth, back and forth. But I'm finally getting the shape I'm looking for. Now, as you can see, I was going back and forth, who knows how many times to get the shape right. Trying to do that with the one panel, for me, would have been impossible. I ain't that good. But with the half panel, this is something I could do with. Now, I may have a little bit of tweaking to do yet because there's that perfectionist in me. And but the nice thing is I know how to do this. The fun part's going to be replicating it for the other side. And then we're just going to have to weld things together. I know I'm going to have a few seams I'm going to have to level out afterwards, but I'm thinking this is the better way to go. Anyways, at least we're going to end this video with something we've accomplished. So again, I would like to thank you guys for watching, for subscribing. Ain't giving up yet. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.